Welcome to Beacons of Light. Joining me today is Becky and Bubbie Bourg. Welcome to the show.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you, Mike.
Well, we count our blessings for the both of you, and wow, what a difference y'all have made. 27 years committed to the Count Your Blessings Supper. It's amazing. Becky, you started all those years ago, Bubbie. Y'all took on this with Chef Foles and the Kellermans. Tell us a little bit about how you got involved with the Count Your Blessings Supper and why you stuck with it for 27 years.
Well, I can remember the very first year, so the dinner's been going on for 28 years. The first year I was a guest. I just so happened to be at daily mass at Mercy, and I ran into my godmother, Margaret Bologna. I think you may know her. Yeah. And she said, I have 2 tickets to go across the street to this, Count Your Blessings event. Would you like to join me? And I said, sure. And I remember going, and I remember John Pastorek with his guitar singing, all the things. I thought it was wonderful. Mm-hmm. Well, Dr. Harry Kellerman and his wife, Miss Carmen, and I think their good friends from Morganza was Edwin and Genevieve Leonards, I think is their name. So they put on that first year, and they brought the show or the event to Baton Rouge they were copying it off of something that they saw in Shreveport. Well, I used to work for Pfizer, and Dr. Kellerman was someone that I called on. So a little, go down the road a few months, and I'm in his office, and he said, oh, I saw you at that Count Your Blessings dinner, and we got to visiting about it. Well, then a few more months down the road, he said, I'm in his office for work one day, and he says, I have a favor to ask of you. And I couldn't imagine what favor he'd be asking of me.
Favor.
But he said, Carmen and I are building a house this year. We're kind of in a time jam. I'm wondering if you would, chair the event for me this next year coming up. And so Bubbie and I we weren't even married at the time. Mm-hmm. And, we agreed to do it. So that was our first year, and that was 27 years ago. And so time flies.
It started out as a favor to Dr. Kellerman. Yeah. And then I remember talking to Becky that night after, and we said, well, this may be something we can do during Lent, and before you know it, the kids came along, and it kind of became a teaching tool, and they've been serving bread and water and soup since they could walk.
Yeah, they have.
So you said, I will, before she said, I do, when it comes to Count Your Blessings. So y'all got a lot of counting of blessings.
That is true. I never thought of that.
Yes, indeed.
That's funny.
Well, y'all do such a great job. My goodness. We love Chef Foles. Their crew does such a great job on their end, the preparation of the soups and all of that. You roll in with making sure everything runs smoothly. And for many years, it was just tables and chairs and a podium. Right. And then let's talk about that. That was always trying to find somebody a seat, and always kind of an adventure in itself, huh, Bubbie?
It certainly was, because we'd set up all day, and then closer to the event, I remember you always walking in and saying, we need more tables. And I'm like, are we going to have that many? And every year we filled it up. There was not an empty chair in the place.
Yeah. It's amazing.
And we'd always worry about the fire marshal. We'd worry about, okay, too many people, we need more chairs. But every year it worked out.
The miracle happened every year.
Every year.
Started out with Father Maroney, and then continued through these many, many years of now Father Cleo. Right.
Well, if you think about it, we're kind of behind the scenes for sure.
Yeah.
But you've gone through 3 bishops. We've started with Bishop Ott. Yeah. Then we had Bishop Hughes. Now we have Bishop Duca. Right. Then we had 3 priests. It started with Father Maroney, then Father Miles, and then now Father Cleo.
That's right.
But I guess the things that are constant has been John Foles and John Pastorek.
Yeah.
I feel like they're the real MVPs here, because they are consistent every year. I mean, John Foles, he runs a tight ship with his crew. They do everything. They make our job so easy.
He certainly does.
Oh my gosh, and so generous. I mean, for 28 years, he has donated his time, his staff, his, you know,
and the
everything, and there's 28 different soups. Like, how can you do that? It's amazing to me.
It is amazing to me as well, and so very generous with his time, his energy, his treasure, and his faith is so important to him.
Right.
And I know for y'all wouldn't be doing something 27 years if faith wasn't critical, huh?
Yeah. Absolutely.
Sure.
Without the faith aspect component of this, you know, when we do this, we raise money to feed, we raise money to shelter, raise money to fill prescriptions, all important things.
Right. Well, I mean, you can't beat, I mean, we both feel like, you know, what St. Vincent de Paul stands for and the society and all the things that y'all have done for the community. I mean, in this day, you have so much homelessness and so much, I mean, I don't even know how y'all can continue to do on a daily basis the things you do. So I feel like this is just a small help towards y'all's goal, you know, and we're proud to be a part of it. But I mean, it's such a great, you know, just the whole society in and of itself, everything that y'all do helps so many people.
Well, it was kind of amazing, you know, every time we got together inside and we heard, like you said, John Pastorek on the guitar, Mary Rosenblum singing, and all the bishops seemed to have a lot of fun in the event, huh?
Well, John sure makes it fun.
Yes,
when he
indeed.
swings in there, we always laugh when he swings in and puts that hat on and it's timed. Like, you know, I'm always nervous because I got the timer on, like, you know, when they say go and how it all, you know, comes. But he definitely makes it fun.
Yes, indeed.
For sure.
He's 28 for 28.
Yeah. With a batting average like that, he'd be a VIP in the major leagues, no doubt, because he is a VIP in the major leagues. Sure. Well, y'all have done such an incredible job, and when we come back, we're going to talk about a little bit more about the 27 years, but we're going to focus a little bit on the pandemic and how we survived that, and then we're going to talk a little bit more about faith and why it's so important in all of our lives, not only personally, but also as we raise children in a world that sometimes is a little bit more challenging than it needs to be. We hope you've enjoyed the first segment. We'll see you in just a second on Beacons of Light. For over 20 years, the St. Vincent de Paul Community Pharmacy has served our area. We provide prescription medicines for those who have nowhere to turn for this most basic healthcare need. Please, if you need your medicine or you know a family member that needs their medicine, contact us. Kay, how can they get in touch?
383-7450.
Give us a call today and spread the word so that we can ensure no one goes without their prescription medication. At St. Vincent de Paul, we count our blessings for a lot of things, and we particularly count our blessings for Becky and Bubbie Bourg. And every year, I kind of stress Becky out because I'm not the most organized person in the world, but you are, and she's organized. Are you organized too? Yeah. If you want something done right, get a woman to do it. See, we got proof, evidence, 1600s. There's St. Vincent saying, St. Louise, I need you to run the orphan home, and I need you to run the hospitals and all these things. And he knew what he was doing, and we thought we knew what we were doing 27 years ago when you took over. But then in March of 2020, the week before the pandemic, we had a Count Your Blessing supper.
Yeah. That was the last one before we had to switch the format because of, you know, the pandemic and trying to just do something different to, you know, have the event still go on. but just in a different way, because no one wanted to get together. No one wanted to go to a restaurant, much less, go eat in a place with 500 people, So I don't know where the drive-through idea was born. I think that might have been born from
Chef
just a combination.
I think it was Chef Foles.
Yes, I think so.
I think it was his brilliance and his crew, Dan Ling and Michelle York and all the wonderful people.
Ryan Diaz, awesome. Yeah, for
they're
sure.
Incredible. And what a great thought process they had. And I remember March 2020, we had brought hand sanitizer for everyone. And they had just started talking about COVID, and the next week they closed everything down.
Yeah, that's true.
I talked to John Pastorek about a week after the event, and he says, I think y'all were the most recent major event that was held in Baton Rouge before everything was locked down. That was just a crazy time. And
absolutely.
And then sometimes you just got to have faith. Because I wasn't sure, even though Chef Foles is great and his soup's great, I wasn't so sure how selling $40 frozen soup was going to do. But it's been great, huh? Hundreds of people.
It did.
Well, we always had a few that would come to the kitchen that would buy soup.
That's right.
At the events.
Or try to buy
soup. It's just an amazing
They wanted
thing.
to take it home.
No doubt.
And we would get so nervous because we didn't want to ask Chef Foles to do that.
Right.
We felt like he was doing enough. And then it was a very, very, so this worked out because, there were a lot of people that wanted to take his soup home. So it was perfect,
And typically, in the last 3 years, we've got about 400 cars that'll come through.
Crazy.
Some people buy one. Some people buy, I think this year we had somebody buy 12 of them or something.
I remember a 7. I remember
7 or 6s.
Yeah.
It's amazing, and every one of those soup bags, 2 pounds, $40. This year it was crab and artichoke bisque, I believe. But you're right. He's had 28 home runs. Never the same soup, huh?
Always a good
creative.
story,
Oh, it is creative. And, John's been on the show several times. And when you talk to him, he talks about his faith life. And, when you look at all the charities that he helps, there is a focus on those that are Catholic and those that share his values. And that's what's so nice working with Chef Foles, isn't it, Becky?
I think I'll never forget him telling me after the very first one, when we asked him to do the next one. And it was all about Bishop Ott back then, because that was before we had Bishop Hughes and Bishop Duca. I remember him having such a strong connection with Bishop Ott that the yes just came out so quick and so fast just because of his love for Bishop Ott. And now I'm sure he has that same love for our newer bishops. And he said yes very quickly. And he's been saying it for 28 years.
Yes,
and
indeed.
You could tell he has a heart of gold and a faith life that's beautiful. And we're lucky.
We are lucky.
Very lucky.
For sure.
I like the sit-down meal a lot. But one thing I love about the pandemic drive-thru is John Pastor has done got Bishop Duca, Chef Foles, Father Cleo, singing.
They can all sing. Who knew?
And Bishop Munch.
Oh, yeah, Bishop Munch. He has the most time, best time singing. And when you see them get together having that fun, and people driving up, and here comes one of the two bishops, the Bishop Emeritus or the active Bishop, Bishop Duca with the soup. It's great. This year I saw something really wonderful. So Bishop Munch shows up, and the sun was hitting us so very hard. Bishop Duca had come with a hat. And so Bishop Duca took his hat off and gave it to Bishop Munch and said, "You need this more than I do," and gave it to him. And I was just, it's just such a fun event. You go away, it's always wonderful. And Bubbie, you mentioned, your children have all volunteered and been a part of it. Why has that been important, giving back in that lesson?
Well, I think that goes all the way back to my roots in Donaldsonville. My mom, was adamant about going to church on Sunday, and, doing the right thing. And we've always done that with our kids, and having the dinner at Our Lady of Mercy, our, home parish, makes it, that much more special for us, because we, are active in the parish too. So.
And that, when you, again, y'all look too young to be doing something 27 years. 27, other than being an answer to my prayers that y'all keep saying yes, why do you keep doing it, Becky? Yeah, this is number 27.
I mean, how do you answer that? I don't know. It just, we love the event. We love what y'all stand for. We love the volunteerism. I mean, to us, it's so fun to get all those kids involved. I mean, you have kids that have been doing it since they were this big. Yep. And they all come, when you have some of your, more elderly clientele that comes and they're getting served by a little bitty with their Mercy sweatshirt, and then they go and they're older and now they're in their academy uniform or their Catholic High sweatshirt. I mean, some of these kids have been doing it all the years up. And I mean, this year we even had some of the sorority girls were volunteers. So it's fun to see them. How about the Academy girls? They were the backup singers. Did you see that?
I saw that. That
Lily
was
Ruth
great.
Hyde, and she had a bunch of, we knew her.
Yes.
And she volunteered, and then
That's
she
fabulous.
had a bunch of friends. And you have a video on your phone somewhere
of
the bishops, and they're all singing, and those little Academy girls are in the background doing the background singing. I mean, it's precious, but they're all, and I guess the schools that we've been fortunate enough to be involved in would be, Mercy and Academy and Catholic High. They stress that to the kids so much, and they all have that goal of service hours that they have to fulfill. Right. So, they all want to come because, they're going to do service anyway. Well, I have people calling me, Miss Becky, when's Count Your Blessings? Or, because they know they're going to come, it's going to be fun, and they're going to, get their service hours. And I think it's a great lesson that the schools teach the kids service,
Exactly.
For sure.
No doubt about it. And service is what St. Vincent de Paul is all about. When we come back, we'll talk a little bit more about counting your blessings in your everyday lives and why that's so important that we all take time to do that. The Society of St. Vincent de Paul's first cookbook, Taste and See, is the gift which helps share the goodness of the Lord with those most in need. Featuring recipes from Chef John Foles, each chapter begins with a short story about one of our special work programs. To order your copy of Taste and See, please call the Society or visit our website. Help multiply blessings for the neediest in our community.
My Bicycle Journey, a book that tells a story. It educates, it promotes, and it also provides some leadership. Take the time to purchase this book, and St. Vincent de Paul benefits from all of the proceeds of this book. Please, if you would, give St. Vincent de Paul a call and let me know what you think of My Bicycle Journey.
We continue to count our blessings on Beacons of Light, and joining me again, Becky and Bubbie Bourg. Becky, let's talk a little bit about organizing, and you kind of took over for a couple that really had their act together.
The Kellermans.
Yes, indeed.
Yes, absolutely. I was talking to out of the four of them that, were the originators of the whole event. 3 of them are now deceased, and Miss Carmen is, the only one still with us today. And we get to see her every now and then because we're friends with her, son and daughter-in-law. And I was talking to her one day about how it actually got started, like before we ever came along. And I mean, she is the one, in my opinion, that really got everything together.
Right.
I remember her telling me about a meeting that her and Dr. Harry and the Leonards went with you when the concept became a a thing.
And by the way, I said after the meeting, get out the way and let these people work. She was amazing. All of them were amazing.
Well, I'll just tell you how amazing Carmen Kellerman actually was. I just couldn't believe when she was telling me. Yeah. She said they left the meeting and she said, obviously we had cell phones back then because from the car, she said the first phone call was to the bishop's office. And she said, they told me probably not. His calendar during Lent is really full. I don't know if we have that date available. Hold on, let me go check. Comes back, date's available. Says, okay. So then she called Chef Foles. And she thought she was going to talk to, maybe a secretary or somebody. Well, they put her straight through to John. And John answers the phone. She tells him what they want to do. He says, absolutely. So then she says, well, I guess we have to have a place to have it. Let's go to Our Lady of Mercy. And she said, Father Maroney, she said, she said, you could tell God's hand was in the whole thing because the yeses just started happening. She said, I feel like Father Maroney came out of a rose bush because we drove up and here he comes and I tell him what we want to do. And he says, well, you need to talk to Sandy Lindsay. She's in charge of the pack. So he said, but I doubt we're going to have that date available. Goes, talks to Sandy. It's a yes. So then she says, this was the thing. She wanted Father Miles to be the MC. And Father Miles had a commitment. And Father Miles said, oh, no, Miss Carmen, I can't do it, but call John Pastorek. So she calls the TV station. They put her through to JP, and JP said yes. And he told her, don't worry about anything. I'm going to, do everything, because she didn't know about the audio, the visual, the program. And John was like, I'm going to take care of it all. So she said under an hour, everybody had said yes to her, and that was it. And then I think you were in charge of the tickets, and that's how it all, I mean, she's the one, we're kind of behind the scenes. She's the one that really, you kind of have to give her credit for getting all these people to say yes, Yeah.
Well, I thank God she said yes, and I thank God all of those who were in their rest in heaven said yes. Yeah. And thank God y'all have kept it running for 27 years. I mean, this year, Becky calls me and says, what's going on? And I trust you so much. I forgot to tell you some things this year, but you still made it work.
But you have a way of not worrying, and I guess, that's your faith.
I worry.
Because it's going to all be okay.
But you get so busy, and then you, wait a second. We're 4 or 5 weeks away, and what
together.
It always does.
It does.
It increases your faith in such a way. And off camera, I asked y'all's favorite saint. Y'all both said Mary, and what whether it's Mary, the Mother of God, or Saint Vincent, we can all look at the saints to inspire us and really help us count our blessings in everyday life, right?
Sure.
Absolutely.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, in my prayer life, I'm always looking for examples, and I think that when you see people like Carmen and Harry Kellerman and the Leonards, I mean, we talked off camera about how my parents must have been very similar to your parents, Bubbie, and that I said off camera that if I was in church, unless I was in the hospital, and you laughed too, and I mean, we grew up in a time where our parents really understood the importance of faith, and for me, it really shaped me, and I know it shaped you too, huh, Becky?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, when you're raising kids, I think Bubbie always says to our kids that, when you have your faith, it doesn't matter, your life just goes easier, because you're going to have ups, you're going to have downs, you probably have and then how do you handle it? you know, you have to have faith, and you have to have that foundation to really, you know, kind of lean back on. And, you know, I guess taught at an early age, you know, you just pray because there's so much out there.
Right.
And we've all had, you know, disappointments, and we've all had tragedies, and, you know, our kids have seen a lot of that. And, you know, without something to hold on to and ground you, you know, you just run a higher risk of going off the wrong way, you know.
Right.
So,
I think,
agree?
I would certainly agree. And, you know, the Blessed Mother is someone we all pray to. You know, we say the rosary.
Right.
You know, and we pray through her to Jesus.
Right.
You know,
Right,
and
right.
I've always done that, you know, and I know Becky has, you know, and I think it may not be the right answer we always get from God, but I mean, He helps us through whatever, you know, the right answer is.
Bubbie, I don't know about you, Becky. When I see someone that doesn't have any faith at all, I don't know where they turn to when those bad things are going to happen. I thank God He is there. And you're right. Sometimes the answer to our prayer is not what we want to hear.
Right. Yeah, I think Father Vic said it best. And I think we all, everybody has a story about Father Vic and a special love for him. And I will never forget one time we had a personal tragedy in our family, and he kind of walked through it with us, you know, and he said, everybody, you know, talks about the gospel of prosperity, because that's what, you know, a lot of religions seek, the gospel of prosperity. And, you know, that's great when everything is going great and prosperous and happy. But when you have that tragedy, you know, our faith centers on the cross. Right. And you really have to kind of focus there, because things aren't always going to be prosperous and happy. And, you know, you are going to have that tragedy. And if faith teaches us anything, it's that, you know, I mean, I would be fearful of not having that to cling on to whenever the bad happens. And we all know it's something may happen at any time. Right. And you got to just be grounded to take it and hope you come out on the other end as, you know. Right. So.
But faith gives us hope.
Sure.
And thank y'all both for being on the show. And we count our blessings for y'all every year. And I hope you'll do it another 27. I've got faith. And with that said, we hope you've enjoyed today's show. And we count our blessings for you and your support. And so if you'd like to get involved with St. Vincent de Paul, go to svdpbr.org to learn more about our ministry to those in need. See you again next week on Beacons of Light.